So it looks like that there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to the Google Pixel 10, which is slated for a possible end of summer to beginning of fall release. Really no exact pinpoint on when the Pixel 10 is going to release, but I think that, with all the shifting that has gone on with the Pixel devices, I do feel like that maybe in August we will get an announcement and more than likely a release, as the Pixel 9a was released in April, but in fact was supposed to be released in March, but because of issues delayed the release of that device. So I'm feeling that, the Pixel 10 is right on track to release and take the summer and continue this way where, Samsung's got the spring, like the winter into spring, and then Google's got the summer and Apple's got the fall. So that way these devices are released in a respective time to allow people to not only upgrade to them, but those people that may have been interested to actually step in and get one. So while we're waiting for this device to release, it seems like that, there's a lot of rumors flying around. I waited a little bit before I started to just kind of want to dive into some of the rumors. And so here we have it from phonearena.com. So I'm just going to go through this article and just kind of pick apart some things that interest me about it. And I like how they have it looks like the Pixel 6 is in that photo. But anyways, new Pixel 10 leak reveals upgraded fingerprint tech and upgraded wireless charging. Something that I know that people in the tech space really wanted for the Google Pixel device. They wanted them to switch up from an optical, fingerprint sensor to a ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, and I believe that's what we're going to be getting. So it says faster and more reliable fingerprint recognition. Google made the historic change when it introduced ultrasonic fingerprint sensors in the Pixel, finally moving away from the slow and unreliable. And I love, this is the thing about tech news, I love how they put it. So before they made the switch, it was an okay fingerprint sensor. It was usable. It was, it was decent, but it wasn't as fast as ultrasonic. Now that the Pixel 10 will be bringing an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, now they are calling the optical unreliable. Like, what a sell, okay? Not that I'm in a defense of an fingerprint sensor or anything like that, but it's just like, to me, this is just like the things that sell. Or like, people won't really they won't say what's really true in their heart until they feel like they got a ground to be able to say it. So anyhow, unreliable optical sensor from previous generations. So yes, it's going ultrasonic. They kind of just tap in a little bit about it. They said that it's nice to see that even though Google's Face Unlock system has supported Class 3 biometric authentication since the Pixel 8, making it secure enough for sensitive tasks like banking. So with the Face Unlock on the Pixel 8 series and higher, you're able to use Face Unlock for your banking apps as a form of biometric security. Now you have ultrasonic, which should be much faster than optical. That is true. So that will, work out. But it's not only about it being faster. I think the thing here is that with optical, there are more chances of an error to, like a fail to recognize. Whereas on ultrasonic is a little bit better at picking up your fingerprint, so you get a much more reliable unlock. Okay, but the optical is not unreliable. Let's just be real. Optical is what you're gonna find in mid-range devices, and I think that's the other sell point, right? Of like the trickery in the tech space. But anyways, going on. Now we're also getting Qi2 wireless charging. So that's gonna be nice to be able to wireless charge your device. And it's going to wirelessly charge a little bit faster. I don't know if they have exactly how much faster. It doesn't really say here. It just says that, we have Qi2 wireless charging. This mirrors the approach taken by OnePlus and Samsung. Okay, so it's going to kind of be on par with those. We'll see. And the iPhone 16e, technically compatible with MagSafe, they say, but lacks Qi2. So something that they're kind of throwing in the face of Apple. I don't know. I don't know about these things nowadays, because to me it's just like it's almost as if when it comes to tech news they want to reignite the wars, and I guess that gives them something to talk about. kind of like the whole East Coast, West Coast thing with the Source magazine and whatnot. If you know, you know. If you don't worry about it. Just be glad you weren't living around that time. Anyways, so yeah, Qi2 wireless charging and ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. That is a much needed upgrade. Anytime that technology progresses forward, I'm always going to be in support of that. If it progresses forward but doesn't make sense, or if they say it progresses forward but it absolutely does nothing, then that's where I can get critical with any upgrades that they are doing. But however, they are talking also from Phone Arena that they're probably leaning towards an August 20th announcement and an August 28th release. So August 20th announcement, and pre-orders will probably be allowed at that time. And then August 28th is when the pre-orders and, in-shop device purchases will be allowed. So, Qi2, ultrasonic. I think the big kicker for me, honestly, the really big kicker for me in all of this would actually be the move away from the Samsung Foundry and now having the Tensor processor built by TSMC, which is a process manufacturing plant that actually makes not only will be making the Tensor processors, but also I believe Intel is one of the other ones that they manufacture for. So what does that mean? Well, for the Tensor 1 to the Tensor 4, one of the big complaints that people, and this is why you always probably see like articles that talk about it, is that it's using an Exynos processor, right? Now, yes, I know not everyone's gonna get that aspect of it absolutely correct, but they're not too far off. When you have the Samsung Foundry building the Tensor processor, it's obviously built by, off, I guess you could say, like the blueprints of what their own processor chips are built off of. And if the Exynos processors don't run that well, means that, building for another company like Google would obviously be, kind of the same errors that Exynos processors face. And this could probably be the absolute reason why there's going to be a split between Samsung and Google. If you guys haven't really been keeping up with tech in that way, Samsung is already acquiring other small companies that are developing AI, and they're looking towards making their own AI so they can completely move away from Google, right? So future Samsung devices will not be piggybacking off of Gemini for Galaxy AI. They're actually going to make their own in-house AI software system to assist on their Samsung Galaxy devices. And this allows them to kind of move away from Google. This could probably be the reason why, is because Google is taking its business of the Tensor G processors from Samsung and taking it to TSMC. The Tensor G5 will be built by TSMC. So a lot of people are very hopeful that the processor chip, the Tensor G5, will be better. Now, do I think it's going to be a powerful chip like the Snapdragon 8 Gen series? No, I don't. I don't think the Tensor G5 will be that from that standpoint. I think that, it's got a little bit more time before it is a powerful chip. I will say that it will probably deliver a much better experience, a much faster processing time, and a much, more fluid optimization than when it was using the Samsung Foundry to build their processor chips in the forms of the Tensor G1 to the Tensor G4. Like, I don't really have a problem with the Tensor G4 or the Tensor G3 or the Tensor G2 or even the Tensor G1 to that extent, because I am not a heavy power user on my smartphone and I'm not a heavy gamer on my smartphone. So gamers and power users would probably be able to tell if there is a difference with the G5 over someone like me who just uses their phone for content creating and social media and media, consumption. I probably wouldn't see. Maybe I would see if I'm editing a video and it's in such high quality, but yeah, I really wouldn't see the way that, gamers would see it. Like if they're playing with such a heavy game that requires, really solid processing power and a good amount of RAM. So we'll just have to see with the Pixel 10 if it launches, and it launches in a favorable stance or a not favorable stance. But you guys can do me a solid to let me know. If you guys enjoyed the video, smash the like button. That lets me know that, I'm in a favorable position with you guys. And if so, Thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, you just subscribed. Thank you for doing that too as well. Turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a video upload. Thanks for checking out this video. Leave your thoughts, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts in the comment section of the video. Let me know what you guys think of the Tensor G5 and the upcoming Pixel 10. I would really love to know your guys' thoughts as we are now on the road to the Pixel 10 release.